Hey, this is George,
Hey, this is Frazier.
and this is Real Talk with George and Frazier. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Not much, man. The wonderful day, wonderful day.
Yeah,
Yesterday,
tomorrow. Yeah,
yesterday.
tomorrow's election day, so it's a big day in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah.
but if you didn't check our last podcast, we had Brent Magnum Simon from Roger Up. Very great interview. Make sure you go check that out. But we
Definitely.
also have a special interview today. Miss Yolanda Randles is here from the Sweet Potato Project. Now she says sweet potato, Fraser.
Potato.
You
Mm.
know what I'm
That's
saying?
always
So,
my favorite already.
hey man, look at here. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
Already my favorite.
I'm already hooked.
Baby.
So let's bring it right in. How are you, ma'am? Welcome
I'm
to Real
fine.
Talk.
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Do us a favor. Could you just turn your camera slightly so we can see your face?
Yeah, we gotta see the
There
face.
it is.
There it is.
Beautiful. A little
Good
bit
morning.
more.
Good morning.
A
There
little
we go.
more. A
Hey,
little
yeah,
more.
Can you? They can barely see my face.
You're cut off. You're cut off.
Yeah,
you
That's
want
right.
to
there we go. Right there.
Beautiful.
There we go. Look at that.
All right, wait, wait, yes, a little bit this way. There we go.
Thank
There
you.
we go. Now we got it.
So welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh man, nice, nice.
So let's just get right to it because, like I said, telling Fraser earlier, I'm hooked. Sweet Potato Project. Can
Already.
you tell the fans and listeners what that is?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I would love to think that we thought about this project all by ourselves, but we actually heard about this project through Aetna. Aetna Foundation actually published an African American calendar for years, and oh my goodness, probably back in 2000, I don't know, 7 or 8, they had this great article about a sweet potato project in St. Louis. And so, of course, we're here in California, we're in Fresno, the Central Valley, probably like the fifth largest ag industry, in the world. And we thought, oh my goodness, we need to have this sweet potato project here in Fresno. And so we actually reached out to the St. Louis folks and said, hey, we're interested in having this program here, in Fresno. And they were very encouraging, and kind of supported us like, yeah, go for it. So um, we set on the project, we read about it, and of course, funding is always an issue.
Always.
We're a nonprofit. I'm the director of the West Fresno Family Resource Center, and so we're a nonprofit community-based organization. And so for years, you apply for funding. Oh no, sorry. You apply for funding. Oh God, you missed it by 2 points. And so we just continue to just keep trying and applying for funding. I had an opportunity I was in a committee with Dr. Castro, who is the president of Fresno State. And so when do you ever get an opportunity to sit next to the president of a university, right? And so, and actually to this day, I can barely remember what I said to the man. I was talking so fast. It's like, Dr. Castro, hey, we have this idea of a project. We're working with youth and the university, and be a great opportunity for the kids to learn about ag and business and leadership and communication. And before I even finished the conversation, Dr. Castro was pulling out his business card. He said, Yolanda, I'm all in. Let me know what we need to do. How can I support you? And so Fresno State, actually the first year, we had a pilot project. So here, now that I've done all this talking, right, it was like, okay, oh my God, are we really going to be able to engage these kids?
Time to perform. Time to perform.
That'll work.
Are they really going to want to, go out in the field and plant and water and weed and all of that? And so we actually piloted. We had about 17 youth said, okay, yeah, we think we might be into this. And so that first year, we had 17 youth, 15 completed the project. And then we're like, okay, we're on to something here. And so it has just been evolving and building. We had our first pilot actually in 2016. And to this date, we probably have seen well over 100 kids, have actually completed the program. We've had youth, first-time graduates from high school, in their families, first time going to college, in their families. We've had youth actually go on to join the military. So the program has been very, very successful. And I don't know if you just want me to go on and just okay.
Keep
Talk
going. I'm listening.
about, okay, we're in California. We're in Central Valley. We're in Fresno, right? So Fresno is sort of like where's the Central Valley. So we're 5 hours from Los Angeles and like 3-4 hours from San Francisco, right? And so Fresno, a lot of people they talk about Fresno. They call it right? No cultural, no business opportunity. I mean, it's all bad. And then now you target that in one of the worst neighborhoods, which is Southwest Fresno. So it is your low income minority community with all of the issues that come with poverty. And so we have gangs, we have teen pregnancy, we have, high exposure rate in school, we have low absenteeism, you have single parents, unemployment triple, the California state. So there's a lot of issues, but at the same time, you have this community where there's a sense of family, there's a sense of pride, so when you talk to people that grew up in West Fresno, it's like, oh yeah, I'm from the West Side. I grew up, in West Fresno. I attended Edison High School, which is the local high school. They have a theme, Tiger for Life. That pride that's in our community is it's overwhelming, and it's just so great to see. I would always tease people, like, go to an Edison High football game. Packed, packed with people. The community will come out and support, the high school is just really amazing to see. And so now you have these kids, right? So here's these group of youth that, they're in the middle of the road. Do I go here to the gangs who's saying, yep, come on, I'll show you love. I'll give you that attention. I'll give you the money. I'll give you all the thing that comes with that. And then you have, again, just all those issues. But here now, this program where we're teaching youth about leadership, we're teaching them about communication, we're teaching them about marketing, business, entrepreneurship, and a lot of folks in our community, and especially, in the African American community, when you think about ag, right, we're like, shh. And even our young people, that's slavery stuff, or that's, I can't even think about that. But in Fresno, the ag industry is like a billions dollar industry.
Yeah,
it's huge.
That's true.
But we're not teaching our kids to think, that way, that no matter what, we all got to eat, that food has to come, from somewhere, and somebody, in terms of land preparation, water, soil, plant management, all of those are jobs.
Exactly.
Good paying jobs, that our kids can get into. And that's what we tried to do, within the sweet potato program. And so the kids meet weekly, and they talk about what's happening in their community. They talk about what's happening, in their home. So have a staff person, so we kind of have this philosophy. Okay, so what's said in this room, stays in this room. So there's a lot of trust, that happens, in that space. So one of the unique opportunities too is that we start in March with our orientation, and the program runs all the way through December. So the kids are engaged in the whole, from planting, watering, weeding, going out in the field. But one of the cool things, and these are 12 to 16-year-old youth, and one of the cool things is that they go to Fresno State. They actually take a 5-week business class at Fresno State. And they're learning about ag business. They're learning about communication. They're learning about marketing. One of the outcomes of the program is that the youth have to create a product from the sweet potato, and not sweet potato pie, right? That's already been done.
Yeah, I guess that
not sweet potato chips, because that's already been done, right? So Now they're getting some culinary training, right? So at our site, we had a kitchen, and so we divide the kids up into teams. They have to research their product. They have to research the ingredients. They have to go into the kitchen and practice and, put all of their ingredients together. You'd be amazed what the youth have come up with, like sweet potato churro, sweet potato bites, sweet potato muffins. That was like our biggest hit was the sweet potato muffins. Sweet potato, they call it a scroll. So it's some type of sweet potato with cream cheese kind of rolled inside. So it's just been amazing, the different recipes that they come up with. So at Fresno State, at the end of their 5-week class, we have a pitch day competition, right? And so the kids are in teams. They go before family, friends, and they pitch their idea. And so it is so amazing to see the youth standing with their teammates, and they're talking about, well, this is our business strategy. This is our target audience. Who are we going to? It's just amazing to see. And our kids, they have so much talent that if we can just, find that niche, or if the kids can just find that niche, at a young age, the gift of gab, right?
Yeah.
That's communication. That's sales all day long, right?
Yeah, but kids don't realize that. And the thing I like about kids is kids' minds are not polluted with adult ideals. So a kid can think about anything from building a spaceship out of a milk carton all the way to, building a race car with cardboard. And
Right.
in his mind, he'll know exactly how that works. The
Right.
problem is, as adults, we come in and go, oh, that's not going to work. Oh, this is not going to happen. And we defeat the kid before his ideal matures enough to give him that confidence to say, hey, you know what? Maybe as a teenager or an adult, I've been thinking about this thing, but this fuel ideal may not work here, but it might work there. See, we kill the ideals before they germinate and bloom into something and have like a fire in the future, And in our communities, a lot of times in our communities, we all live in what I call write-off communities. Either the violence is too high, it's this or it's that. So nobody pays any attention to them because they're just going to be teenage pregnant moms, drug dealers, and they're all going to be in jail anyway. And even the local, state, and federal dollars don't address that. They'll spend millions of dollars to police you, but they won't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay, in grant money to make sure that you stay out of jail. You see what I mean?
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. I used to teach martial arts for at youth risk at the YMCA, and I always say this because those kids are still dear to my heart. Teaching them martial arts, teaching them a skill, giving them the confidence that they need to succeed in school, but more importantly, having them see a person that looks like them, that tells them that they can succeed.
Oh my goodness.
Having that role model that says, hey, there's nothing that you can and nothing that you can't accomplish, but more important, like you, this is a safe space. You can always talk to me about bullying and things of that nature, and I'll always be here. And I still get text messages on my phone, and these are grown adult men now, married with kids, and they still have that respect and love for me, and it's dear to my heart too. So, it's touching that these programs are there, but the question that I have is, why aren't these programs across the country in all these communities? You're talking about sales pitch, you're talking about marketing, you're talking about business financing, you're talking about growth in agriculture. The biggest thing right now, what is everybody growing? Cannabis. Cannabis is going to be $1 billion industry, and nobody's paying attention to it, except they're bringing the finished product into our neighborhoods that help us with joint pain, the diabetes, hypertension. We buy it in grows, not understanding that we can grow this ourselves, but their counterparts in Missouri, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota are growing this thing right in their backyard.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And land ownership.
Yep.
Let's buy that land, right? And let's get, the cannabis or whatever it is that you want to grow, and it's like, and you're so right. So just like for me, imagine a kid, having like a mentor like you, George and Frazier and my staff saying, yeah, man, That's a good idea,
Right.
and continue that, from junior high, high school, and just having that mentor and say, no, that's a good idea. You should continue along that thought process, because our counterparts, like their kids, that's how they're taught,
Yep.
So that's why already they know, oh, we're going to go into business. Oh, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a lawyer, because they already see that, within their families. And unfortunately, with our African American communities, it's far and in between. So we need people like George. We need people like Frazier. We need people like Patrick, Andre. My staff to encourage, our young people, and to let them know that you can do this, and whatever that gift, that talent that you have.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, grow. So
Exactly.
if you like numbers, okay, math, okay, don't just take the algebra one, take the B, the two, the C, the
That's
calculus,
right.
whatever
Everything else.
it is.
Trigonometry, you name it. But you
Exactly.
forgot yourself. We need you too, Yolanda, to touch that
Exactly.
toe with the
Like
president
you
and
do.
talk fast so we can get some more programs
Exactly.
in these communities as well too. Okay?
Exactly.
Because I can tell you right now, being in business, the biggest thing that anybody has is the Rolodex. If you have a Rolodex, you have the ability to reach out and touch anybody. Because a lot of my clients and people that are wealthy, they all know wealthy people. They all hang in the same circle. And believe it or not, people that are doing something only hang around people that are doing something.
Exactly.
That's it. If you don't have anything else to do, they'll just see you when they see you, you know.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
we are always stuck because we have this phobia of we can't or why not. You see what I mean? And my own thing is, what do you mean, why not? The real question is, why aren't you? Okay.
Exactly.
Beautiful minds. Like I say this all the time. It's amazing when you sit there and watch our kids build things. I mean, my son is building buildings when he was a baby out of cardboard boxes.
Exactly.
You know, it just didn't come to my mind and say, oh, he was building a race car and milk cartons. No, he actually built race cars out of milk cartons.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? So
Exactly.
we never distinguish. I mean, we never extinguish that. If he wants to be an engineer, sure, go ahead. We'll show you how to do things structurally. We'll do a lot of different things to make sure that if that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. You know,
Exactly.
like you were saying, Miss Yolanda, the problem is our counterparts are learning. So in other words, many parents are having contests where they give their kids $100 and say, grow that $100 in the stock market. And they just don't say grow it. They give them the tools to understand how the stock market works.
Exactly.
You see what I mean?
Exactly.
Whereas they have us hustling every day for every little bit that we got to worry about food and this, that, and the third, that we don't have our mind. We don't have our mind right to be creative. You see what I mean?
Exactly.
Because you're built with so much stress on you every day from the time you walk outside to the time you come back in the house. It kills your creativity,
Mhm.
even little gentle ideals that you may have. And I hate to say it, but we're some of the most creative people in the world because our minds work just a little bit differently.
Different.
You know,
Exactly.
not because we're miserable, because we're happy. So when you have happy feelings, when you have joy, when you can relax, then all of a sudden your mind just starts going, and it's not under the influence of any kind of drug or alcohol. You can sit there and think.
Exactly.
You see what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's refreshing to know that a project is out there. Because until Phrase told me, I didn't know anything about the sweet potato project.
Yeah. I
You
was
know, and I also wanted to add real quick a sweet potato casserole with some
exactly.
macadamia nuts and some
Mhm.
walnuts
Better
and just a
bread.
little bit of brown sugar. Put it in their ear. If they haven't made it yet, okay,
Hey.
have them make that.
Yeah, that's one of the recipes.
All right, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was in the same thing too. Cause I was growing up, when I growing up, I didn't have a problem with saying I cannot do. I always encouraged to do more. So I was different on the version of that. You can't do. I always have my business and my career. Because what you say I can't do, I can do. And I
Right.
also relay that with the coaching also. Like I tell the same story to everybody. I tell the story. I thought coaching I could pretty young. I wanted to get active with kids. And I had to start coaching 5 year olds. First coaching job. God gave me an opportunity to coach 5 year olds. And the first thing I heard out of the parent mouth, my 5 year old can't do that. My 5 year old can't do this. My 5 year old can't do this. And let me tell you, they're the most smartest minds in the world at 5 years old. They can do so much things and willing to learn so much quicker than older kids. And they had one little kid, and He bring my tears. His grandma brought him to me. His mom, issue, whatever, and they had to take over from the kid. He was going to the state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he was always a product of single parent, bad. As they say, the words say bad parent, but it wasn't her fault. She was a victim of domestic violence. A lot of stuff going on. The grandparent wanted to take him out, and the grand uncle told me, says, "You know what? I want to give him something to give him more courage because right now he's scared. He's scared of everything. He don't want to do this. He don't want to do that. Kids picking at him in school. So I didn't want him to teach him how to fight. I want him to teach him to do something other than fighting. So I tell him, put him in sports. I said, good. So I met the kid. I'm not going to lie to you now. If you saw this kid, you were like, nah, man, take him out of the field. No, I can't. I can't afford him to get hurt. No, don't take him. And the kids were like picking on a little bit. You know, okay, he's like, back then we call it a little sugar in the tank. It would make no sense to anybody. But he was just scared.
Right.
And the first day he had a tackle, he threw a chest into a tackle, to a helmet. Whoa, don't do that. But what happened, coach? It didn't hurt me. But you do it properly. So I started teaching them, teach everybody the same way. And they all started gelling together. Okay? And the first 2 games we lost. First thing he came and coach says, was it my fault, coach? Because I didn't make the tackle? Was it my fault, coach? I didn't do this? No, that's your fault. It's a team fault. The whole team came and said, no, it wasn't your fault. It was our fault. We shouldn't did this. And these are 5-year-olds. These are 5-year-olds now where people say they cannot do this. Okay? And the second, third game, we played a team that was better than us, way faster than us, and we were just there. And I asked him one thing. I need a favor from you. He said, what's that, coach? I need you to help me out. What's that? Stand in front of the player. I need you to keep him in front of you. I'm going to give you help. You sure, coach? Are you sure? I'm sure. I got your back. So I told other players to stay behind. I put the biggest player I can behind him. So he know he has protection behind him. No matter what happens, he has protection. And when he hit the guy, he fell back. He was hurt. He was crushed. You see his face crushed. When his teammate picks him up and tells him, let's go. There's no problem. Let's do this again. And he learning now that he has help.
Right.
He has the ability to do things. All you need to do is do his job. Right. The second play, the same kid came around, but the kid was clicking at him. No. So he had to hit. He had to hit the kid so hard that he jumped up for it. The play was over. Like I hit him, coach. I hit him. The whole team embraced him, jumped up, grabbed him. You see the face expression on that kid's face worth almost $1 trillion. His spirit went from 0 to 100 in no time. And I tell you, if you encourage kids, no matter how small they are, how big they are, no matter what size, shape, what it is, you'll be surprised at their potential. So I love program like your program who encourages kids to use their mind. And most importantly, their imagination. Yes. What people seem to forget. Walt Disney had it. A lot of grown people had his imagination. But like George said, piggyback what George said, they take that away from them. And it's good at program.
Yeah, they crush it. Just imagine what's going to a guidance counselor. The reason why we don't go to guidance counselors is the fact we don't want to hear what a guidance counselor has to say.
Exactly.
I'm not supposed to be here with a master's degree and a bachelor's in marketing. I was told that I was supposed to go to trade school and learn how to be a mechanic. Right. Yes, that still happens in the 90s.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, oh well, Exactly. So to sit here and pitching, I want to get back to that. Do you realize that most business people don't even know how to pitch their ideals to angel or venture capitalists?
Exactly.
Right? And that's the biggest thing is people want to know what's in it for me and how am I going to get my money out of it?
Yeah.
Okay. People spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, Frazier, hiring experts to teach them how to pitch an ideal. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. If it's a multi-million-dollar ideal, they know it's definitely worth it because somebody's going to come back in. They don't know how to talk for themselves. And the fact that you're teaching them at this particular age, it's just through the roof.
Exactly.
Through the roof.
And a lot of our kids, they, I want an NBA or NFL or I want to be the next rapper. Those are all great dreams, and I don't want to be a dream killer. But, nowadays you got to be like the star, 7 feet, And you got to have that GPA to get into college, that D1 school. But, and I'm saying, okay, so if that don't work out, here is another opportunity for you to use some of those skills, that you have. So, and I tell the kids, like in the pitch day, right, when we're doing the pitch and we're talking about like, okay, so that one kid that, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a rapper. I want to be a rapper. I said, okay, so rapping, lyrics, putting a jingle together, that's somebody's job. That's doing it. I said, you all know that McDonald's.
I'm loving it. That's right. That's a jingle. Somebody got paid for that every time they on.
Paid for that, And I said, so why not take what you're thinking about and put it into this program? And so some of the kids actually came up with their own jingles. It's just amazing, to hear. And they have talent, can sing, can play, instruments, they natural talents. And so to incorporate that into, into a commercial, a sweet potato commercial, has just been really awesome to see. And the fear of public speaking, right?
That's the biggest.
Standing in front of a crowd and, pulling out numbers and pictures and, okay, here's our product and here's a taste test, of our product and the packaging. And this is what it's going to look like, in our package. So putting all of those pieces together, and that's their responsibility. And another cool thing about the project as well is that, it's the grant that we have now is actually funded through the state of California. It's called the California Reducing Disparities Project, right? And it's funded through mental health dollars, right? And so folks are like, okay, how can you get mental health and ag into one program? But it's that opportunity that ag brings to talking and leadership and self-esteem and resiliency, because there's all these dynamics that's going on in these kids' lives. And they can't talk to the teacher. They can't talk to the guidance counselor. They can't talk to people about what's really going on. But here, to have somebody that looks like them, that understands their family, that understands the community, they can talk about that and then kind of guide them into the right direction. We were so fortunate with the grant as well that we were able to actually pay the kids a $50 a month stipend, to be in the program. Right. And so initially, I was talking to my staff. I was like, well, let's do it. Let's give them their stipend like every other month so they can get $100, versus 50. And my staff convinced me. He said, no, let's do it every month. And I will never forget. And this is, requirements. You got to be on time. You have to participate. There's a whole bunch of requirements that's involved before you get that stipend, right? And I'll never forget the first time we gave those kids, it was a crispy $50 bill. And like you were saying, it may as well been $1 million.
Exactly.
And you hear kids say, oh, I'm going to help my mom with the PG&E bill. Oh, I'm going to help my mom put some gas in the car. Oh, I'm going to go, buy some food, for the house. And you hear these kids saying these things, right? And I'm like, I know me, $50, I can blow that like nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But you see the heart? You see the heart of the kid? Okay, immediately, it wasn't McDonald's, it wasn't sneakers, it wasn't video games.
Nope.
It went right back to
the house.
the level, to the house, to this, to that. How can I give? You see, you can't quelch that type of character, whatever's that fortitude that's in them. Okay, if you nurture it when they're small, they'll be givers when they're adults, and they'll continue to give. They'll pay it forward time and time again, and it's just interesting. Now, I wanted to talk to you really quick, Miss Yolanda, about grants, because it's the biggest, worst secret in Black communities across the country. Supposedly, there are so many grants out there, but it's the hardest thing to get in the whole world. And I don't understand that, because there are grants from everything from a $5,000 grant to get a car wrap for advertise your business if you're a landscaper.
Exactly.
Okay, to a $10,000 grant for to help contractors when it comes to financing their businesses for siding everything to stick building a house. Okay, so we know this in all these communities, but why do you think there's such a huge disparity to be able to get the grants to the people, because we work, despite what is put out there by the media, we work. We just don't work one job. We just don't have this. If we have a full-time job, we got two side hustles. You know
Right.
what I mean? Whether my wife is baking cupcakes, or I'm doing something else on the side. Believe it or not, Frazier and I met through a real
Exactly.
estate deal up in Buffalo. You see what I mean? So we
Exactly.
hustle, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
and it's always been in our nature to always have something on the side. That's why Corona really didn't hit us. It hit us, but it didn't hit us because when we lost our jobs, we went to our side hustles.
Exactly.
Things that we was good at. Hey, look at here. You see
Hey,
the
they gonna be full time now. Let's do this now.
Yeah, man, I'm right with you. But why do you think there's always been such a disparity for years and generations in getting the monies to us in our communities?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge problem. And I could just talk about like my experience. And
Please.
so, West Fresno Family Resource Center, we're going on 20 years old, which is a record high for our community to have that, nonprofit in our community. And I think that, when people, like what you just said, oh, there's a grant, there's a grant, there's a grant. But what comes along with that grant is money management,
Hmm.
is understanding goals and objectives, is understanding reporting, understanding, implementation, tracking, data, evaluations, all of that comes with it. So we can have a great idea. And like I said earlier, I can't tell you how many no's I got before I finally got a yes, for the sweet potato project. And so, but you just keep trying. And the other thing is building relationships,
Exactly.
our counties, our cities, our universities, they're going to get those funds, right? And if they don't know who you are in your community, um, oftentimes, so that funder, there may be a great funding opportunity, and that funder, who are they going to go to? They're going to go to the government. So who is ABC organization, and what do they do, and what relationship do you have with them? And if there is no relationship, then chances are you're probably not going to get funded. And I
Hmm.
know a lot of folks
Yeah.
probably don't want to hear all of that, but you have to build that relationship. And despite how you feel about your city, your county, your hospitals, your universities, we have to build those relationships with those entities, because I don't know, it just seems like and I call them the usual suspects.
Yeah.
It always goes to them. And then we're like second guess, then we're like, oh, by the way. And so
Yeah.
even for me, I finally had to stop, because I would have the counties, the cities, the folks would, after they would get the huge grant, and then they couldn't get the folks who they wrote the grant for to participate, because this whole trust issue, like they don't know you, they don't trust you. So yeah, no, they're not coming to that focus group, or they're not going to that health education class because they don't know you. And then it's like, oh, well, Yolanda, can you help us? We're doing this class, or we're doing that focus group. And, like 20 years ago, oh yeah, I can do it. And would get the people there at a focus group or a health class, not getting a dime,
Yeah.
not getting a dime. And so finally it clicked. I'm like, wait a minute, you got the grant, you can't get the people, you call me, and they will come, because we're that trusted organization. But at the end of the day, you look good, you're getting money, and I'm not getting anything. And
And
so
they're getting paid because they have a staff budget in there, and it's not
Exactly.
just a stipend either. It's a salary that they put aside
salary,
for themselves.
Exactly.
salary. And so when I finally had to say, yeah, you know what, we can help you. How much money do you have for my staff? Because that's phone calls, that's follow-up emails, that's my staff time, that's making all of those connections. And so, and it took me a little bit to learn that. And because my self-worth, my value, we have that credibility, in the community. And it took me a little while to get that, but grants, you're right, they're out there, and they're not easy.
No.
But understanding all that comes with that, like I was saying, understanding what are objectives, what are goals, what are your implementation strategy. What is evaluations? How are you going to collect the data? Who's going to do the reporting? You know, all of those little bitty detailed things are so important, you know, when you're writing a grant.
Exactly.
Yeah. And do you
become a
follow
new
up with the
career?
grant? Really?
You look at it now, grant writing is now one of the top going writing careers because now people can do it. It's very tedious. It's very long. And if you ever seen a C-130 form just like this big, you might have open a law library and put it in there because that's big.
Right.
And I remember when we started a program down here at New Jackson, and we did pre-teenage, called pre-juveniles. And she was going to grant. Same thing you're saying. No. So she went back to the Army. She retired from the Army. And the Army supported it. And you would think they would not support it. Like you said before, the ones you least expect would not support it, or the ones that want to support it. You know? And they don't say, well, the Army guys, well, look, retrap to train, they had sent us people. same concept.
Right.
You get a military ready, they come right to us.
Right.
That's how they were looking at it. And we played off that same motion. And there's a lot of teenagers before they got in trouble. And I can go back to piggyback to you said, Yolanda, about the relationship, the judges, relationship with police officers, police stations, chiefs, firefighters who brought kids to us. Look, this he's a good kid. He's been this way here. Can you help him? Some kids we had a sponsor. Some kids they weren't paid, and we had some people that actually come in and say, you know what? We have 20 kids. We give you this amount of money. But we want to see, like, go back to now stats. We want to see their improvements. We want to see how they progress. We want to see where they was when they first started the program. Where are they at now?
Mm-hmm.
They want you to actually piggyback them. All this stuff in order to show you where that money is going and where you're applying that money. You know, people don't understand that. They want to be accountability for every little step that's come out that money. They want to know where it goes.
Yeah.
You know? And I wasn't forced to deal with that part of it, but my commanding officer did. And I used to sit there and with her piggyback how she used to do it. And it was amazing how you have to call people, teach people. I mean, 8 o'clock at night, you call them judge, hey, how you doing? You know, you say you'll talk to our kids about this here. You talk to our program and talk to our kids and whatever. And a lot of judges start doing this. They start calling her. Hey, look here, I got this kid in my chamber right now that I don't think I should give him no jail time. I want you to come and get him. I want you to come and talk to him. And you be a representative for him. And she used to go there and represent the kid in court. You know? And you'd be surprised how some of these kids, they're bad. Don't get wrong. But they're powder puffs. They're like little powder puffs. Right. You know what I mean? Like, but you like you go back and say, like you're saying, the more reward you get out of that, you don't get paid for one. You put all your time into it, you're volunteering. The most you get for it is satisfaction for their success. To see that kid become a firefighter, to see that kid become a police officer, to see that kid become a state senator, or he go to the army and be a general or lieutenant or something, it comes back and gives back to the community because he learned from you.
Right.
Your sacrifices, your time, your effort. You can do a lot of other things, but what you're doing, you're right there with them. You work, teach them how to plant, teach them ideas, keeping their imagination going. Showing that other things you can do in life besides sports. I love sports. I love sports.
Yeah, but you can't do it. You can't do it all the time.
Yeah, you can't do it
all the time. Yeah. Let it go.
And you know what? I just want to say this real quickly. So my staff, Patrick, I have 2 African American males that actually is leading this project. And so Patrick, you know, he's real quick to, you know, here's my cell number, call me, right? And so he has had parents, you know, call him. Hey, Patrick, can you talk to this boy? Because he's blah, 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 blah. And then right after that, the kid will call, man, my mama tripping. She did it, you know, so he's like in between, you know, the kid and the parent, you know, just kind of serving as that mediator. But they both had somebody to call. Right. And it's just been so powerful to see that dynamic, you know, where parents and kids having someone to talk to. Exactly. You know, a lot of times you have these single parents that are raising these young boys and they don't have that male role person. Right. And so they're calling Patrick and he's talking to them like he's like, their big brother, uncle, whatever. And Patrick, he has a family, he's a dad, and he has some college, but this is just life experience, and just having that conversation with them is just so important, to the project. And so I remember this one kid, he started off, he was so shy and just shy. And he was maybe about his second year in the program. And you see this kid, and now there's like a little pep, in his walk, and and how he's talking. Yeah. And so his dad even called Patrick and said, "Man, my son was talking to a girl on the phone."
Right. Right.
So that was like, a big deal, from this shy kid to now he's actually talking to girls on the phone. But that was like a big moment, for him. So, but having that encouragement, having that I don't know, that strength to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, no fear. Yolanda, can you give us some stories about your alumni and how they're doing, how they're progressing, and how they're moving forward?
Sure. We have one young man. He's actually at Howard University. This is his second year at Howard. So within his family, he's the second one actually to go off to college. We have one young man, and I think that I sent you a picture of him. He has on red, his brother. These two young men were basically homeless. They were going from house, to neighbor, to uncle, to aunt. And when both the brothers were in the program, and when the one brother graduated, he went off to the military, and is doing extremely well. We've had other kids, just to graduate from high school. Like, that's a big deal, to get that high school diploma. A lot of our kids, are doing that, and then some of the kids now, they have expressed interest, in ag or in culinary. And so when they look forward to it, and the COVID, this COVID, oh my goodness gracious, it's just been, it's like, so how do we keep these kids engaged? They're at home, online learning. And so we had to switch our whole program to online learning. So here they're already at school all day on the computer. And now we do our classes, online, because when we would have the club, we would, have leaderships, we would have, communications, we would have resiliency, we would have different workshops. And so what my staff did, oh my goodness, I can't even remember the name. So there's some game out there that the kids play, sort of like trivia, right? And so he incorporated all of his lessons he would have his lesson, and then they would play this trivia game at the end of their session. And so, and I guess in this game, it would track, okay, who's in first place, who's in second place. And so he would have like African-American history, and so the kids would have to answer the questions. And so I remember this one time, this one kid was like getting all the answers right. And so, and the kids were like, "Man, how are you getting all those answers right?" And then you can hear the parent in the background
giving
them all the answers. And so, but that's okay though, because the parent was engaged, in that piece of it. So, what Malcolm X said, by any means necessary, if we can educate our kids, on our history and kind of where we came from, and kind of bring that to light, and even if it's in a game, but they're still learning. They're still learning. And so, and I think that's, it's so important. So the kids, they're all doing, the ones that have completed the program, they're all doing well. They're all doing extremely, extremely well. So far, so good.
Nice.
How many kids do you guys allow into the program each session?
We start off with 35 kids. That's what the grant allows, is 35. And so our average completion has been about 29. Yeah. And so, and oftentimes what happens, we're good in the summer, and then when school starts, so we do have some of our kids that play sports. And so it's a conflict in the timing of the schedule, because it is, if you're in the program, you have to be there, you have to participate. Like, there's no, and if you miss like so many days, then you're out, and so, and then that's life, right? Because if you get a job, you miss so many days on your job, guess what? You don't have the job no more. So it's not, And life is not a handout. You got to work. You have to work if you want to succeed in life, and so that's some of the things that, we're trying to teach the kids. It's not, here's this $50, thank you for coming, but no, what did you do to earn that money?
Right.
And I think that's so important, especially with our generation of kids now. It's the, I call them, what is it? The microwave kids. They want instant, they want it instant, but you got to put in the work. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the time, to be successful.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
In this microwave society with the instant gratification, they have to understand that there are some things that take a little bit of time, like even starting a business. People don't understand that, every business has a chance to survive, but most businesses fail in 36 months. You see what I mean? Because you have to be able to nurture that business, grow that business, and work that business. You're the CEO and the janitor at the same time.
Exactly.
If you don't take that philosophy, you're going to fail.
Exactly.
Because you have to do everything until you can hire people to do something.
Exactly.
That's for us. Our counterparts don't get that. They get the budget to hire the maintenance, the IT, the this, the that, the CFO, everything in place to make sure their business thrives.
Exactly.
We, on the other hand, we get just what we need to get us there, and then they say, "Ha, good luck."
You kind of reminded me. So I grew up here in Fresno, and so I am number 6 of 9 brothers and sisters are my siblings. And my parents actually split when I was about 3, but they got back together when I had turned 19. So pretty much I grew up in a single parent household, right? And so my mom got up, she went to work every day, right? And so she instilled in us, go to school, get your education. So 7 of the 9 of us, we have college degrees, and my 2 brothers, one is a mechanic and one is a journeyman. So they have a skill, right? And even though they didn't get the college, but they do have a skill. But when you talk about this little bit, right, and then stretching it, I automatically start thinking about my mom. So could you imagine a single parent, 9 kids to feed, 1 income?
Mm-hmm.
The food. Mm-hmm. And what came to my mind, and it's even now our comfort food that we call it. So my mom would make this goulash, and I think it was just everything in the refrigerator, in the cupboard.
Spoiled. That's right. That's right. And it was good too.
Oh, yeah.
It was good. Oh my goodness gracious. It was so good. I mean, we did not go to bed hungry because she okay, let me take this little bit, what I got, all these little bits, to feed my family. And I think that's, as African Americans, that's kind of what we do. We figure it out, how can we take this little bit and stretch it and make it into something? And that's always been our struggle. It's we gotta stretch, to make something, but at the end, the reward is there, but we just gotta keep fighting.
Exactly.
Every day it's a fight.
Every day
it's a struggle. I would tell this story when I went to college. We used to have these little meal plans. So when the money ran out, you couldn't go to the cafeteria to eat. So what used to happen was the grocery store down the street, the moment we walked in, the owner and all the security would be on us. So what would happen was one of my friends told me, he was like, "Hey, have this kid go with you." So what happens is while the owner's on me, he'll go get me that can of beans that I need to eat for the night because he's watching me, and it's just that type of atmosphere that we're always raised in. We're always on high alert. When we walk out, we're Black people. When we come back home, we're Black people. When we get stopped, we don't get the benefit of the doubt like our counterparts. And believe it or not, we're always required to take this little bit and make sure that it stretches.
Exactly.
Where our other counterparts are not. They get the full this and they get the full that. You know what I mean? Without question or without scrutiny. And I'm not saying that. I should say that I'm not saying it to be vindictive. I'm telling you what our reality is, because everybody that we talk to that looks like us, we all have the same stories. You know what I mean? So it's not like we just sit there making it up. We just got on the phone and said, "Hey, we're going to the Black meeting today. We're going to talk about this." It's all the same stories. So you can't really make it up. It's all of our experiences caught. And like I was said on the show the other day, the best thing that and the worst thing for us is the cell phone. Okay, because this is the first time ever that our story in the last 10 years has been documented. You see it on video, you
Exactly.
know. And now people can't sit here and say, "Oh no, I can't believe that it's really like that for them all the time." Hello, watch the video, watch
Exactly.
the tape. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Right there.
Without this, we would still be in the dark, talking about some can we all get along? You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Part of our program, we do have an evaluation piece, and so the kids are surveyed. Kind of post at the beginning, well, pre and then post at the end. And one of the survey questions is that have you ever been pulled over by the police? And almost 80-90% of the kids said yes. And so and actually part of our program, we actually have the police officers come in and sit down and talk with the kids, about, their feelings, what's happening and what to do if they're approached, all of those different types of things. And so earlier I talked about like building relationships. And so the captain, of our police department there in Southwest Fresno, he, believed in the whole community policing, which has worked very well, for our community. And so our kids are even like, okay, well, call, Captain Salazar, he'll, he'll vouch for me, or he'll,
Right, right.
or I need some help, or can you call him, and it's just a great, we were fortunate to have that type of relationship, with the police department. And I'm not saying that all officers
Yeah.
are, horrible or great, but to have that one person that you can call within the police department that will be there and help and support, and our kids got that, and the same thing when I went to Fresno State, to go to Dr. Castro's, to go to his office, and to hear the president of the university say, because the kids, you go to the president's office, he has, degrees all around
Yeah, degrees on top of degrees.
on top of his head. And, our kids like, man, how long it take you to get all them?
Right.
All them degrees. And the one thing that he said, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it took me a while, but guess what? You can do it too.
That's right.
So to imagine what that felt like to that kid, for the president to say, you can do it too. And so, and we just need more people, positive people in our community to encourage our young people, because the talent is there, but we got to nurture it, and we got to grow it, and we got to support them, and I don't know how to, the Sweet Potato Project is just one, there's so many different, and you said it earlier, why don't we have this across the United States? And I'm sure there's probably other great programs that are out there, but we need more programs like this, especially in our neighborhoods, in our communities, so our kids can see, yes, you can. You know what? You can get that high school diploma. You can get that college degree. You can open up that business. Like you can. You can, and they need to hear that, more importantly, now more than ever, they really need to hear that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
look, no doubt about it.
No doubt.
No doubt about it. I mean, when you were telling me about pitching and this, that, and the third, I was like, oh, I hate doing that. But I do it, and I didn't learn how to pitch a product or pitch this or do this or do that. I learned that when I was a grown adult, like grown, like 30 years old. And I was like, oh, man,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? I mean, just being honest.
Exactly.
So to have a teenager to learn that at 13, 14 years, what a pitch meeting is. I was 29 years old 2 days before my 30th birthday when I sat in my first pitch meeting where they were teaching me how to pitch something. I was like, pitch meeting? What y'all talking about? Pitch meeting?
Mhm.
See what I mean? So it's invaluable, that type of source when we're talking about marketing, because anything can happen now with the internet. Everything that's going on is going on through commerce and the internet. Okay, through a phone conversation, through a hookup. So it's just
It's great.
it's dear to my heart when I hear that, because I know for a fact growing up, we were never offered those kind of programs. Like I said, my guidance counselor told me to go to BOSI. I was good to be a good mechanic.
Exactly.
1990. Imagine that. When I'm talking about 65 or 44, 1990. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
Struggling in school, just go ahead and just do that, And then if that didn't happen, a lot of kids in my school, they were dropping out and getting their GED, you know what I mean? And 2 years later, going off to college. But I'm like, well, what about all the other stuff you need?
Exactly.
Because the GED is the minimal program. It's not the
Right.
maximum
Yeah.
program. You see what I mean? So if you get your GED, you still have 2, 3 years of prep work in college that you're paying college tuition for that
Exactly.
aren't credits for you. And that was the other trap that we got into, and a lot of other kids that I went to school got into. I'm gonna get my GED, I'm gonna go to school. Well, you spent
Yeah.
4 years on pre-preparatory programs, and you still never got your degree.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
crazy.
I was impressed. When I was in high school, we had one teacher in economics, and he was telling us like he would teach the stock market. And our project was we had to pick three stocks, and we had to watch these stocks, observe these stocks, do research on these stocks.
Mhm.
And I'm just what 16, 17 years old, learn stocks. Like, what do you know stocks for in life? He said you always gonna learn it because you need more than one way to make money.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Once you learn this, you'll be ahead of everybody game. And I was fortunate, I was with 4 blacks in the class. And he said, see, now I'm not telling you, don't make it racism, but you guys' parents gonna teach you this. Their parents don't teach you that because they don't know nothing about stocks.
That's right.
Or how to invest it, or how to do anything with investment. He was telling us, do this. And the first stock I picked was really weird. It was a small company, but I barely know nothing about. He says, why you pick that company? Because it's something we need, something never always gonna be around. And first it took 6 years. I looked it up. So show me. So I broke it down to him and showed him. We're a toilet paper company. They specialize in natural toilet paper. Yeah, I know. Hey, don't laugh. Don't do me.
Oh, Frazier, I was going to
Why
say
you
something.
use it though? Come on, why you do that? And it's funny. Within the first 3 weeks, I made almost $200. The teacher, well, hold on, wait, $200. So the teacher started investing also in it. Crazy.
You gave him a little hookup, Frazier.
Exactly. And then by the time one semester, he said, we're going to vary in all the stocks, sir. I made at one stock, having went public. It went public. So the stock went from almost $13 a share to $419 a share.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's
And I bought my money. I bought all my money. I put in majority of money. I had like 30 shares in the stock. So I made almost a lot of money.
Yeah, how much money you made, Frazier?
I can't
Don't
tell
tell
you
him, though. Don't tell him.
that. I can't tell you that. I made about almost $15,000.
That's nice.
If I would actually invested real money, I'd have made $15,000.
Right.
Now my teacher on the hand made $25,000. He didn't give me a share though. Out there. So,
Saw the writing on the wall. Definitely. Told you got to hook up.
but it's good to learn. Like you gotta use certain things to help other ways. Like teach them investment, teach them other things besides playing football, all that good stuff.
Nothing wrong with it.
But you get injured, what happens after that?
Right.
What happens if you going out the street, someone get arrested, and they take a scholarship away? What happens? What do you do next? What do you learn? So if you learn stock market, one thing about stock market, they don't take a record. They don't know if you're a criminal or not. They don't know that. All they care about is the money. So you can always invest. You can buy real estate. You can be investing in real estate. You can do a lot of things.
Right.
But you got kids to know the options are there.
Right.
Yes.
Plant the seeds. All right, we have like 1 minute, and I just
goodness.
just 1 minute left. But I just also want to plant this seed too. When I wrote my book about funding and credit, I learned something that I didn't really realize, that most millionaires have at least 7 to 10 streams of income coming in at one time.
Wow.
And the second thing is that to stay wealthy and be wealthy, we think month to month, year to year. Most wealthy people, most millionaires think by decade. What am I putting in right now that's going to be here 10 years from now? Where will it be 10 years from now? So I just wanted to impart that knowledge here on this particular show, because we also have to think like that. Not just 1 or 2 hustles. We need about 5 to 7 side incomes coming in to make sure that we make it and able to pass it on to our kids. And we also have to start thinking generationally too, as far as decades are concerned.
Exactly. So we're gonna tell her how someone want to donate or sponsor or volunteer the program, like where they need to go, the website they need to contact you with?
Wow, we do. Our website is West Fresno Family Resource Center, and there's a donate button there on our website. Wow, that would be fantastic, to receive the support. My ultimate goal is to create an ag training center in Southwest Fresno. And so in the training center, certainly ag, culinary, horticulture, all of those different aspects around ag, but right there in the neighborhood, getting the kids from elementary, junior high, and high school, and just leading, into college and into a career. So yeah, West Fresno Family Resource Center, you can go to our website and there's a donate button. We would appreciate any support, for our agency and especially for our kids in the sweet potato program. And thank you so much for taking the time and having me on. I can't believe the hour went so fast. I was all worried, like, oh my God, what are we going to talk about for an hour? It went so fast.
Absolutely. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show. We look forward to having you again.
Exactly. I come back and post it on the program and everything and me and George, we're very fond of programs that give back to the community. So that's what we put the platform for. So I'm glad we were blessed to have you come on the show.
I'll have to send you all our sweet potato muffin. That's been our biggest hit.
Yes, all day.
And the kids came up with a second version, and they're calling it Sweet Alicious.
Nice.
And so it's a sweet potato muffin, but they added marshmallows and chocolate chip. It sounds terrible, but actually it's really good.
Really good. Don't put cheese in now. Very good.
Oh no.
Potato wine.
Oh yeah.
And marshmallows. Okay. So it's definitely good. Make sure they patent that Sweet Delicious.
You bring the marshmallows up in this thing. You know what I'm talking about? You bring the marshmallows up in this thing.
That's right. Well, this is George.
This is Frazier.
And this is Real Talk with George and Frazier. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.